In this episode of the podcast, I'm going to give you 3 strategies for reviewing your last 12 months with the intent you can make your next 12 months better than the previous 12 months. It works if you had an exceptional 12 months. It works if you had a horrible 12 months. Now, one of these strategies I'm going to give to you, which I've been using for 12 years now. This will be the 13th year that I'm going to use it. It's particularly effective, works across time, and it's fantastic for behavioral change. That's going to be the third one. The first one I'm going to share with you is connected to your calendar. So if you're listening to this podcast, I suggest that you grab a pen and write down these ideas because it's going to help you. There'll also be some reference to them in the show notes. So let's have a look. Let's dive in. So with your calendar, and your piece of paper, what I want you to do is on your piece of paper, make 2 columns. One column is repeat. Another column is don't repeat. Now, in each column, you're going to write down the events from the last 12 months that you want to repeat, the events that you don't want to repeat. So you're going to go through your calendar, go through it week by week, have a look. Okay. That was a great experience. I would love to go skydiving again. That was a horrible experience. I do not want to go on a holiday like that ever again. Or I do not want to have a job interview like that again. Or actually, that was a fantastic job interview. I really enjoyed that job interview. Even though I didn't get the job, that was a good experience. I would like to repeat the experience. So you're going to write down experiences you'd like to repeat. You're going to write down experiences you don't want to repeat. The next step is, once you've gone through the whole calendar for the year, give yourself some time. It's worthwhile doing. Trust me, I do this for myself. It's worthwhile doing. So you go through your calendar. Then the next step is those things that you want to repeat, start putting them in your calendar for the next 12 months. If you're listening to this podcast and it's March, this still works, right? I'm deliberately saying 12 months because it's not about a year as far as a calendar year. It's about the next 12 months, the past 12 months at whatever point you're listening to this podcast. Put in those events that you want to repeat into your calendar. You might want to keep a list somewhere in your office or a workspace or somewhere where you go every day, and you might see that these repeated events you'd like to include. The events you don't want to repeat, make sure they're not in your calendar. Yeah. The action is really important. You can listen to these strategies, and you can consume the information, but unless you're going to take action, it's not really going to have the impact that it could. So I really encourage you, go back, review your 12 months, make the 2 columns, repeat, don't repeat, then start putting things in your calendar. By putting them in your calendar, you're reminded. By putting up a reminder somewhere in your space, you're going to stimulate your brain to bring back these experiences and create similar experiences that make you feel good. It's all about feeling good. The better that you feel, the more momentum you're going to create. The more momentum you create, the more dopamine you get, right? It creates this cycle of feeling good. And from that place, it's much, much easier to take action. If you feel like you're failing, it's much more difficult to take action. So that's your first strategy, is getting your calendar and doing a 12-month review. The next strategy is to combat that part of your brain that says you're not good enough, you don't do enough, you should be better, you shouldn't have done that, therefore there's something wrong with you. Those things are a lie. Yes, we can always do better. And there's this primal part of our brain which is built to ensure that humanity survives. And one of those parts, what it does is it always wants whatever we're doing to be better. It wants us to excel at things. Just doing it, that's not good enough. Just improving a little bit, that's not good enough. Can you resonate with what I'm saying, right? And so we're going to combat that, because if that's just this repeated thing, it can actually bring people down and it can stop you from pursuing what it is you want to pursue. And it's a distorted perspective and it's built for survival, because if humanity keeps on improving the level at which they're operating, humanity will survive, right? So if, for example, just having a stone and as an axe was enough for us, then we would still be in the Stone Age doing Stone Age things. However, there's this cycle in our brain that's always looking to improve. And so stones became hammers, hammers became power drills and power hammers and jackhammers and all these things that evolved from wanting to improve. So here's the strategy. Here's what you do. I call it how far you have come. And what I want you to do is reflect on yourself 12 months ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, and 1 month ago. Once again, write these down: 12 months, 6 months, 3 months, 1 month. And reflect, how far have you come since then? How far have finances come? They could be better or they could be worse, right? How far has your relationship come? What about your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual connection, your social connection? How far have those things come? It's important you go back and look at that. Also, your mindset, right? How you think and feel about yourself. Did you show up? Did you do the process? Yeah, that's true success, is doing the process. So just keep going, right? How far have you come? Because your mind is very likely going to be limiting and saying, hey, you didn't do well enough. And true success is showing up. True success is being your authentic self. True success is backing yourself. True success is learning. It's not these stories that you tell yourself. It's not the actual achievements, but it's the habits of turning up and keeping your commitments to yourself. There's a saying that confidence comes from keeping the commitments to yourself. Now, if you're doing this activity and you're looking at how far you've come and you can see that you haven't shown up for yourself, guess what you're going to do in the next 12 months? You're going to be really conscious of showing up for yourself. Perhaps it's just learning. Perhaps there's this aspect of learning that you haven't followed through on. And you wanted to start a new profession. You wanted to start learning about a career that you want to pursue, or you wanted to explore your hobbies more and you haven't done that. You're the master of your time. We all have the same amount of time in our week, but it's what you do with it that makes a difference. So it might be time to prioritize yourself differently. You're such a wonderful human being. You have such a gift. And I want you to experience the gift of yourself, and the gift of yourself doing the things that you love, because once again, it creates this cycle that goes round and round and round of joy and connection. And if you're feeling that way about yourself from doing things that you love and things that you want to do, you're naturally going to share that with others. You're naturally going to have an impact on others. And so you may have heard me say before that your purpose is to be the most fulfilled, content version of yourself. Doesn't mean life's going to be easy, but if you can be that fulfilled, content version of yourself, you're effortlessly going to have a positive impact on those around you. If you're discontent, if you're not happy with yourself and you're judging yourself and your physical health is poor and your mental health is poor, what's the impact of that on those around you? And there could be some choices you need to make so that you can shift how you feel about yourself. That is all possible. 12 years ago, I was miserable. I was doing my best, but I was miserable. I had to make this concerted effort to shift. So it's possible, but I want you to acknowledge how far you have come. If you can experience this and connect in with how far you have come, I guarantee you're going to feel different about yourself. Now, something else about doing this activity. If you connect in with how far you've come, and you can actually connect with how amazing you are, you're more likely to acknowledge others close to you for how far they have come. want you to test it out. Say to them, wow, don't you remember where you were 2 months ago with this activity? So, for example, if it was playing music, don't you see how far you've come in just 2 months? Don't you see how courageous you've been in trying all these new things? And so then you're spreading the how far you've come. If you want to learn more about this, there's a book called The Big Leap. You can test that book out. It's by a guy called Gay Hendricks. And he talks about that strategy of the gap and the gain, right? Don't look at the gap from how far you think you should be. Look at the gain from where you were, and that will change your mindset instantly. So that's the second strategy. And incidentally, these are the kind of things that we explore in the Inspired Growth Pod, which is a fortnightly workshop that I run in the Inspired Growth Pod group. There's links in the show notes, and it's all about this kind of work. So micro changes across time. That's why it works. That's why it helps people change their lives, because we're doing it across time. We don't have to make these big significant changes. It's the micro changes that build up and compound. So that's in the Inspired Growth Pod. All right, the third strategy that I would like you to explore, and I remember when I was first showing this one, it was 12 years ago. It was 2012. And as I said, 12 years ago, life was hard. I was depressed. And I remember I was playing music at a market, and there was somebody who I would describe as an acquaintance. I didn't know him, but enough to say, hello, how are you? And I said to him, do you have any New Year's resolutions for this year? And he said, I don't do New Year's resolutions. And I was instantly curious. And he was this really big, grounded, very present man. And he said to me that instead of doing New Year's resolutions, what he does is he has a theme for the year. And so with the theme, he chooses something that he would like to work on, and then he focuses on that for 12 months. So if you're watching the video version of this, you can see behind me over my shoulder is a painting, and it's of a Lena falcon. And a Lena falcon is an Egyptian bird. And this particular falcon, its symbol is power and healing. Now, I bought this as a birthday present to myself, the beginning of 2013. And a friend of mine painted it, and I saw it, and I thought, oh, I'm going to buy that. And I didn't know the meaning of it at the time. And then after I told her I wanted to buy it, she told me that the meaning of the Lena falcon, its symbology is power and healing. Now, my theme for that year was power. And what I discovered was to access my power, I had to heal. So I was actually focusing on healing. And this is one of the ways that these themes can work, is that I didn't know, and I purchased this painting, and it was connected to my theme. And so what you do is you choose something you would like to work on. In the past, I've had themes like healthy business. I've had, as I mentioned, the power theme. I've also had, actually, my theme this year was all in. And for me, that theme meant, right, I'm going all in. I'm not going to hold back. So when it comes to physical health, I'm going all in. When it comes to business, I'm going all in. Relationships, how can I be more in my friendships and in my close relationships with my wife, my family? And it's been an extraordinary theme to explore. And so what I do is I spend about a week, maybe 2 weeks, researching what does that mean? So what does all in mean? And I start reading resources, watching videos, and learning about going all in. And during the year, I subconsciously am picking up on these videos about being all in. What does that mean? How does one manage being all in? So one of my big learnings this year is, okay, I really have to have a holistic approach to be all in. And so this year in business, I've tried many, many different things and I've done my best at them. And there's been such wonderful learnings. And there's been things that I failed at. And if I wasn't all in, I wouldn't have failed at them. And there's been things that I could have been more in, but I was still doing my best. There's been things that I've done and realized I didn't have the right amount of support around me to be all in. And then that impacted. And so guess what's happening next year? Okay, I'm going to have more support around me. Something that's in my personality structure is doing things on my own. Yeah, which was something I acquired as I was growing up, that the male does things on their own and they push through. And so for me, asking for help, delegating, things like that, I need to work on that. And so next year, I don't know what my theme is for the next 12 months, by the way, not yet, but I'll start working on that after I've completed this podcast, and it will start emerging as to how that theme looks. And I will do my research around, what does that mean? What does it mean to be in my power? What does it mean to be joyful? So, for example, you could have a theme that is just joy. And for 12 months, you want to explore joy. I had a client this year and he was exploring connection. That was his theme for the year, connection. And to be honest, the connection that he had through the year was so important to assist him through a very difficult year. And so that theme, there's just something sometimes where our higher selves come in and give us the exact right theme that we need. So if you're struggling with ideas for a theme, feel free to message me or feel free to email me. I love hearing about people's themes. Yeah. So it's something else I want to share with you is it's a practice. It's not a perfection. As I said, there's been times this year where I wasn't all in, right? But it's like, what was my theme? That's right, all in. How am I not being all in? Okay, let's come back to that. Where's my commitment? And so for me, this theme of being all in, it's related to commitment. And this year has been phenomenal for my business. I've created at this stage 329 TikTok videos. Some of those I've shared on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. But it's been phenomenal. I was all in on creating those videos and I learned a lot, and the impact was phenomenal for my business. Lots of one-to-one clients and people coming into programs and trainings and able to assist many people. What a joy. What a joy to live life that way where I can help people. So if you're thinking about a theme, something you can do is trust yourself. Trust yourself with your theme. You don't have to have all the answers. And there's going to be times during the year where you move away from the theme. And there's going to be times you come back to your theme. That's the beauty of the theme. I remember the year that I had the theme healthy business. I got to about September and October and I was burnt out, totally burnt out. I could just hardly work. And I realized that I was doing the business part of the theme, but not the healthy. I'd forgotten physical health. And something that led me to do was have better physical health in business, especially when you're a solopreneur and everything relies on you. It can be a bit stressful at times. And managing that mindset around cash flow and offers and putting yourself out there in the world, it can get a bit demanding. So the theme, healthy business, it actually taught me without my physical health, business is very bad. And so that was a good learning experience, that theme. And I went off the track and I came back to the theme. So to wrap up for this podcast, here's the 3 strategies again. 1, calendar, things you would like to repeat, things you don't want to repeat. Write them down, schedule in things that happened in that year that you would like to repeat in the next year. The second one, super, super, super important. And I want you to bring this in as a practice into your life. How far have you come? It's a question you can ask yourself all the time. If you feel like you failed at something, how far did you come? What did you do? Because if you feel like you've failed, you've actually shown up on some level to get to the point of failing, right? You've been courageous, you've been vulnerable, you've taken some risks, you've put yourself out there, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to fail. And those characteristics, if you can repeat them, that's success over and over. Just repeating those habits, that's true success. When you're connecting with how far you have come, and you can do that for yourself, you're more likely to bring that out in others. You watch your world change, you watch your family change, your friendships change when you get into the habit of reminding people how far they've come. It's an extraordinary strategy to bring into your life. It's an extraordinary way of operating and assisting people just by reminding them how far they've come. Because our minds don't do that. Our minds have that primal structure. Should. Yeah, should be better. Not good enough. Yeah, these are the stories that can be floating around. Once you know those stories, you'll get better at managing them. And the last one, having a theme. You got this. If you've listened this far in the podcast, wonderful. You can find out how to contact me if you're interested in one-to-one coaching, if you're interested in exploring the growth pods. So there's the Inspired Growth Pod, which is fortnightly workshops. And I'm just about to relaunch the Contentful Growth Pod, which is to assist therapists, psychologists, healers, and other heart-based leaders to use social media and AI to help people in the world, to get more clients. So all those details are in the show notes. Thank you so much for your support this year. Anybody that's watched a video, over 2 million views on videos this year organically. Phenomenal. And each time there's one view or 500 views or 100,000 views. Think about 100,000 people in a stadium. That's a lot of people. And so that message, whatever it might have been, that has been received by people, that people have spent time with, it's extraordinary. Extraordinary to assist 2 million people in a year. And you have that same capacity by just being yourself. You don't have to be this massive, big, bright light. Yeah. I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. I'm actually just being myself and being the present the most that I can and communicating the best that I can. That's all I'm doing. And so whatever it is in your life, you don't realize that you're the gift. Possibly. You might be connected to that you are the gift, but a lot of people aren't. And that because you're seeing yourself from the inside, you're not actually seeing how people receive the gift of you or perceive the gift of you. So I encourage you, if you're struggling with that, how far have you come? There's also actually something new that you might be interested in is in my stand store, which will be in the show notes. There's a free ChatGPT prompt that you can download to help you identify your skills and strengths, because people that know their skills and strengths are more likely to take action towards what they want. If you're not experienced with ChatGPT, don't worry. I give you instructions how to use ChatGPT. It's also just a copy and paste that you put into ChatGPT, and then the AI will guide you through the process. Very powerful process. Lots of wonderful feedback around how that's helping people knowing their skills and strengths. That's me for the year. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride. I'm sending my love and look forward to exploring the next 12 months with you.